Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming out on this lovely evening. Some of you may have been here at the last workshop that we had. So this is sort of a recap to some degree of what we did at that workshop and sort of a consolidation and distillation of the comments that we received to date from the stakeholders that have had meetings with your council members and some of the department staff, as well as members of the community, and the input we received at the last meeting. And my colleague, Louis Cerna, he held the meeting. Unfortunately, he couldn't be at this meeting tonight, so I'm a stand-in for him. I am Chris Brimo with Calvin Giordano and Associates, and part of our team is here tonight. We have Alan Steinbach from PSG, and we have Cynthia Zell in the front from PSG as well. We're also teamed with Infrastructure Consulting Engineers, who is doing our infrastructure analysis, and Lambert Advisory, who does our demographic and population housing studies. So with that, let me just, pardon me if I'm blocking anyone with this. This is the long-range comp plan update for the next 20 years. As most of you heard at the last meeting, and it is to create a master plan, if you will, for the city by goals, objectives, and policies on its planning and how they want to move forward with the community over the next few years. This, in a sense, is a policy document, as most of these, so the commission will vote on these, but it will also act as a guide for the implementation of your land development regulations. So, but it's more of an overview. These are not regulatory in nature, so these are just really policy standards. And it's important because it is a reflection of what the community would like to see, or we hope it's a reflection of what the community would like to see. This is the third workshop. We had one in October. Some of you folks were here. We had a meeting in December with the city manager and her team. City manager is here, as well as the planning community development directors in the back, as well as some additional city staff are here. They had a teen youth forum in December. So we're trying to get a cross-section of a lot of input from not just the adults, but those folks that are coming up that we hope will continue to live in Oldsmar and will work in Oldsmar. So we had that back in December as well. So as I said, tonight is a summary of the collective feedback. We'd like to try and get a cohesive vision statement, and we'll get into that a little bit later, but we have some items pinned to the wall back there. There are 5 general vision statements. There's some loose ones on the table in the back if you'd like to take that. What we'd like to do is, and when we get to that, is to rank those in order of importance. And there are color-coded dots on the chairs that you can put next to them so that you can give us an idea of what you think is the most important thing. And then we will, and also there are some notepads, so we don't have all the answers. So if you want to add some additional input to that, just put a sticky note on the wall next to it with some additional comments as well. Alan's going to touch on some of that as well as we move forward. And those will help us with the goals, objectives, and policies. So, as I said, this is a summary of what we've received to date, sort of the collective feedback from all the various sources that we've dealt with and we've met with over the last few months since this project started, including the residents. We put this in here because this was a map that we had on the wall at the last meeting, and this is really what the citizens did as what they wanted to see for these various opportunity areas within the city. So this is just sort of a generalized map for those who participated, of the areas that they wanted to see. There is one on the table in the back if it's a little hard to see this on the screen. So you can take your time after the meeting and sort of look what your neighbors said would be the areas that they wanted to see these things in. We had a couple exercises at the last meeting, if you recall, where you used your cell phones, and this is sort of word bubble of the larger the text is, the more votes we got for similar types of uses. So this sort of gives you an indication of friendly, home, community, parks, safe. Those were sort of the key words that the residents, you folks that were here at the last meeting, felt were important issues for how you felt about the City of Oldsmar. We had a future board as well, and we asked participants to write their thoughts down, and this is just sort of a distillation of those thoughts. It's a hub of Tampa Bay, vacation retreat for central Tampa Bay, easier and safer for pedestrians and cyclists to get to shopping on Tampa Road. These are some of the things they want to see. I want Oldsmar to be. It's a fun place, downtown activities, connected with better public transportation, self-reliant, small community, close to fun stuff. And this essentially is sort of the springboard, if you will, where we created some of those vision statements on the wall. So based on the comments we received, we kind of created those statements so that expand on them a little bit, and we can expand on those further as we move forward with this, and then we get to a vision statement for the community and for this comp plan. Additional feedback from the group, what their dream of Oldsmar would be. The cute places to take pictures, that was from the youth forum. So we wanted to put something representative from that group in there as well. And then safer pedestrian bicycle access, affordable, desirable housing, safe from crime, resilient. And so you can see there are several themes that are reoccurring in what the community wants to see. Resiliency, sort of a community type downtown. They want, housing that is safe. They want safer bike paths and pedestrian access. They want safer access off of Tampa Road. So these are some general themes that are coming out of all the feedback we've gathered so far. One of the other Mentimeter activities that we did, Alan was doing the Mentimeter activities. Character was the #1 idea, active downtown walkable activities for all. So that's sort of the focus of where we're trying to get with this ultimately, is how can we craft policies that can achieve these things that the community would like to see. So this is where this whole sort of idea is coming into, along with the other goals, objectives, and policies that were mandated to reflect things that are changes in your infrastructure and changes in any of the regulations that have happened at the state level. But this is sort of what the community would like to see, and this is how we'd like to move forward with it. So I'm going to turn this over to Alan, and he's going to talk to you a little bit about the vision.
Thanks. I'm very pleased to be here tonight. This meeting is the culmination of a long strain of public feedback. At the very outset of this project, the city had a community-wide survey for the comprehensive plan. We had our first workshop where Chris was just showing you some of the results from that, and now tonight's visioning workshop, where the vision statement that you're about to see is really the thing that tries to capture all of the feedback that we've gotten to date. And we've gotten a lot of it. So we're trying to synthesize that and crystallize that into a vision statement. And from this vision statement, we will be creating those goals, objectives, and policies that Chris talked about. So that sort of comprehensive plan speak, if you will. And to put it into perspective, the vision is the highest level of thing, the state that we want the community to be in at the end of our planning horizon, which in this case is that 20 to 30 year time frame that we're planning for. So we want to become this vision in the future. The goals are something that is also a specific end state, a subset of the vision, and it's very general and typically something that you sort of strive toward in the future. So an example goal might be, I want to be a healthy person, right? So it's higher level. The objective is something that usually is measurable or something you can very tangibly achieve. So An objective might be, I want to lose 10 pounds, right, under my overarching goal. And the policy is something that's a specific strategy to try to get you to the point of meeting your goal and objective, which is I'm going to exercise or I'm going to eat less or whatever. So trying to put those comprehensive plan terms into something that maybe can help you understand when we say goals, objectives, and policies, it's how the plan is structured. The goals emanate from the vision statement, and the objectives and policies are organized around those goals. So that is how the comp plan is set up. And this part is an important overarching element of that. So the vision statement, this is a draft vision statement. The purpose of putting this out here tonight is to get some feedback from you all on this. We want your reaction to it. After we're done talking, we're going to go into the side of the room here. There are two sheets up on the wall and a lot of dots there, and so you will be using those to prioritize. Each dot is, when it says number 1, that means it's your top statement that you think is important, and there's a color associated with that. So you're going to take that first one and you're going to put that by the one that's most important to you, and so on and so on. So that's how it's going to go down. If you feel like something is missing, there are some cards that you can write on, some sticky notes, and we will take that and also add to elements to this vision potentially based on feedback that we get from you all. And then we'll just be here to talk about it as well. If you want to have the results of the last meeting, the feedback that was garnered at the last meeting, those graphics that Chris was showing, I can get you a link to that after the meeting. Come see me and I can provide that and you'll have that. You can look at it on your phone if you want to see that. So, on to the vision. This is the statement that our team has crafted on your behalf, and we're going to try to confirm this and get some consensus around this tonight. Oldsmar will be a community with an active town center, with business to serve our daily needs, and where community events can bring people together. A safe, connected, and functional transportation network to support multimodal local and regional travel. A variety of housing options to serve community members of different ages and incomes. A strong commitment to environmental stewardship and resiliency. A strong commitment to investing in redevelopment and development that supports the character of the community. So those are our 5 statements. See some people thinking them through. So when, I want to put those in your mind. They're on the wall. And I want you to think about this. This is one of our central focus for tonight, is to get these right so we can move on with the rest of the plan development. So I'm going to leave it there, and we'll talk about those more together when we're done with the presentation.
Thanks, Alan. And there is no right or wrong one. These can also be consolidated. If you like things of multiple statements, they can be crafted into a single vision statement if that's the way you'd like it to go. Because you may like 1 or 2 or 3 of the items on there that you want to see as part of the overall vision. And so as you rank them, you can do that. You can add extra notes on those sticky notes as well, as Alan said. And we would then move from that point to consolidate those and actually create a usable statement that will be part of your comprehensive plan. So this will be used as part of the update of the goals, objectives, and policies that Alan mentioned. Now, there are elements to your plan that are required. Some are optional. Some are required by state statute. And so this is future land use element sort of governs all of the land use decisions as a guidance within your plan. So this is how the land use is broken up or categorized into various residential uses, commercial uses, industrial, etc. So that's how the future land use plan is. And there are already some things that are in the works with the city. These are some of the items that we have already started looking at and developing policies for and updating some of the items for with the plan. So anything from the vision statement will tie into what we have specifically in some of these areas, like land use, like coastal conservation, like transportation, recreation, open space. So we will add those as we move forward. Transportation element, and these are sort of in order of importance as a planning document. Not to say that conservation and recreation are not important items, but typically you find land use and transportation at the top of your list with infrastructure. So these are some of the things that we're already working on. The city will amend its transportation, I'm sorry, there's a typo, I just saw that. Amend its transportation levels of service standards and replace it with a mobility management system, which is something that a lot of the communities are moving away from the concurrency standard, if you will, more into mobility management. That's something that the state is also encouraging folks to do. It's more flexible. It allows you to develop standards for micromobility, which includes non-vehicular uses. So it gives you that option to do that. And it's because of the changes that have happened at the state level since 2011 with Chapter 163, a lot of the requirements that communities relied on for proportionate share, for concurrency management, a lot of that had been either removed or watered down, if you will, so at the state level, so that local governments are now encouraged to try and use mobility management as a function. The county also encourages that as part of their overall community-wide planning rules. It's flexible and it gives you a little bit more latitude for non-vehicular uses. As same with the coastal management conservation element, the city will continue to support and implement its 2021 climate resiliency plan. Most of the communities in Pinellas County and around Pinellas County participate with the Tampa Bay Regional Planning Council Resiliency Coalition. So TBRPC has member governments from, I think, 5 or 6 counties in this region. And so most of them have signed on to the resiliency plan, and that's something that's very important to most of the folks in Pinellas County, Hillsborough County, all of our coastal communities, because it's you all see what happens every time we have a storm move through and we have a rain event that moves through. So these are some of the important things that are already being worked on. The city will support and implement, and I think it's this year that the city is hoping to adopt something with the Countywide Housing Coalition. So 2023, they will continue to do that. A lot of the communities have a compact with the county to help assist with the provision of housing for lower income residents. Even if you're not providing it within your own community, you help support the process through various means to help with the provision of these housing types throughout the county. So, and of course the city will encourage development of a variety of housing types. And they're also part of the TELUS process, so that's something that Fort Pinellas is doing to target some of these housing issues in the county. This has been the housing has become a very, very important topic statewide in the last few months, and a lot of communities, especially in the Tampa Bay region, because of the increase in housing costs that have escalated in the last year and a half, 2 years, that's become a major talking point for most local governments, and how do they address that? Infrastructure element, they're in the process of updating their stormwater master plan, and that'll be implemented as part of this whole process. That's one thing with the comprehensive plan is one of the documents. The city has separate plans for some of the other items that they're doing. The infrastructure plan, maybe a record master plan for parks, their housing plan. So these things tie back into the various elements in the comp plan. So they're referenced back to the other efforts that the city is undertaking currently to get some of these issues addressed. So these policies that we develop that are outside of the vision statement will also reflect back on the work that the city and the city staff are already doing and some of the improvements that they're implementing. So these things will continue to do that. So the Parks Master Plan will be updated, and it will be based on whatever the priorities are that the city chooses to move forward on. And so those things, once again, will be addressed in the planning document. So as Alan said, you have the overarching goal, then the objective, which is more measurable, and then the policy, which is sort of how you're going to implement this. And then that will be translated where possible to your code of ordinances. I left these in there just because there is a interlocal agreement for public schools with the county that all jurisdictions in the county, in most counties, they have, if they don't provide school services directly, they have interlocal agreements with the Pinellas County School Board or the Hillsborough County School Board, depending on the county you're in. And so those interlocal agreements are what guides the county in how they locate their schools, what schools they locate, what land purchases or what construction they do over time. So most of that is handled through the county. You know, unless the city is funding the construction of a particular school, it is a county school board and a county facilities director for schools that decides where the resources get allocated depending on the schools. And I know it's a hot topic sometimes, especially with the changes that are going on at the school boards with not enough resources to go around, and they're moving students and they're not building new infrastructure in some areas and they're closing some schools. So it's a very, very, along with everything else, it's a hot topic. The property rights element, the city has already taken care of that in their comp plan. That was mandated by the state in 2015. And so the city has already addressed that and adopted that as part of their comprehensive plan. And that is my presentation. And if there are any questions, please feel free to ask them. If not, if you can step to the side of the room and you can vote on those, sort of put your priorities on those vision statements that we have. And if you have any other vision statement that you would like us to include, just write a note, stick it on the wall, or talk to us individually. And we're here to answer any questions that you might have. Thank you.